Welcome to the Anti-Hustle Business Podcast. I am your host, Shannon Whaley, and I'm here to help coaches, consultants, and service providers like you build profitable, sustainable online businesses without the hustle or the burnout that's so prevalent in the online space. I am here to show you that there is a totally different way to do business that doesn't leave you burnt the fuck out and hating your life. It's time to ditch the hustle culture and embrace a new way of doing business. So get ready to redefine success on your terms and build a thriving anti-hustle based business where you have more money, more naps, more travel, more freedom, more whatever the fuck you want in your life. So buckle up and let's dive in. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. This is the very first episode of season 7, and I have some plans for us. So last season, if you were here and listening, it was a mix of some business stuff, and then I was uninspired. And so I just scrapped the whole plan for the season and went back to storytelling. Well, I am feeling much better. I have much more capacity. I am finally on hormone replacement therapy, which deeply impacted my mood and my motivation. And so I am excited to bring season 7 to you. And this is going to be a bit of a different theme than I've done in the past. So I am going to focus this season, I'm going to toggle back and forth between episodes, between business and how to run an ethical business and a profitable business, and then also focusing on coach training, coach mentoring, because I am a certified mentor coach. I'm also a former coach trainer. I am working on developing the Anti-Hustle Coaching Academy. And so that is on deck. And so I just wanted this season to really focus and shine a light on the different parts of how I support my clients, but also a huge part of the work that I don't really talk about enough is that I help my clients not just build better businesses, I help them become better coaches. I teach them how to coach. I used to want to be a professor, so the training part, the teaching part is just part of me. Thankfully, I didn't go down the academia route. I've heard nightmare stories, and so I get to fulfill that kind of work in the podcast and in my work with my clients. So we will have a mix of business stuff as well as coaching stuff, because also what I have seen throughout the years as a coach trainer is that when you feel more confident as a provider, when you feel more confident as a coach and how to hold space for them and how to ask them questions and how to coach, you're going to feel more confident in your business. A lot of new coaches that I have talked to are scared to put themselves out there and get hired because they don't want someone to find out that they're a shitty coach, or that they're new and that they don't know what they're doing, or that they're just not confident around their skill set yet. So my goal for you is for this season to gain not just business tips and business strategies, but also some coaching support so that you can be a more confident service provider and coach. So let's go ahead and dive in. The episode today is why anti-hustle is the only sustainable business model for coaches. And people have other variations of anti-hustle, but really the crux of this is prioritizing your mental and emotional and physical health, focusing on you and your self-care and your mental health above your business. We were taught to do the opposite. Business comes first, and then whatever time I have left over, I will take care of myself. And that's not how things fucking work. And that is a quick recipe for burnout. And so I have been coaching since 2015. I had a big awakening, AKA crash, in like 2019, 2020. And when I came out of that, I decided that if I was going to keep running my business and keep showing up, that I needed to do things in a different way. I needed to change my business model. And so 2020 is when Anti-Hustle was born, and this business model and this vision was born. And so now 6 years later, this is what I do in Anti-Hustle Business School. It's what I will continue doing in the Coaching Academy. And it's what I want to teach you here on the podcast. So this isn't a trend. It's not a trend for me. It is a response to what I have seen happen to coaches, including myself, over the last decade in this industry. What we're seeing right now in the world and in the industry is just collective stress and instability, lots of grief, economic pressure. Lots of people are having to pivot. Every single coach I have spoken to over the last year has had to do some sort of pivot. They are not selling the way that they used to. They are not making the money that they used to. Some people have completely closed their businesses. They've left the coaching industry. Some have had to move it into a side hustle, and they've had to go get a job outside of the home. So things have changed drastically. Burnout is normalized in the coaching industry, although I do feel like there's more conversations that are happening against this, but be wary because a lot of people talk a good game, but then when you get into the back of their business, or what they're teaching you doesn't match what they're saying front facing. So be really mindful of that, and just vet your coaches properly to make sure that what they're saying is actually what they're also implementing into their businesses. I have met and I have heard lots of stories working with a business manager who has been inside of other clients' businesses where they say one thing online and then they're not treating their service providers or their team members well. They're underpaying them. They are running systems so like the coach might not be hustling, but their team is hustling. And so that's not really what we're doing here. I want to run a business, and I want to teach you how to run a business that doesn't burn you out, but that also doesn't burn your fucking team members out. We're not here to exploit our contractors and our team members so that we can lay in the bath and go to Bali, right? And then have our team members running around like crazy. Yes, when you're launching, things are in a push. There's more hours. It's a different energy when you're in a launch. And there's also a way to do it that you give yourself a longer runway. This is also why you want to run programs over and over again, so that you're not constantly having to turn out new graphics, new copy, new sales pages, new everything. So this is what we're doing here. And then also something that I'm seeing is that coaches are taught to override their intuition, override their bodies to succeed. And there are so many different ways of running a business. There are tried and true strategies that work, that are literally like, it's like business 101, marketing 101. Like, you need to have an event, a conversion event. You need to have funnels of some sort. They don't need to be complicated, but every coach has a funnel. And don't get me started on that conversation. When coaches say they don't have funnels, they're lying to you. They just don't have these complicated funnels. We're not going for you to override your sense and override what your body is telling you. We have to figure out what works for you. So what works, and if you want to take human design into consideration, I'm a projector. I do not work the way a Manny-Gen works. I do not work the way that a generator works. So the way that I run my business is very different than the way a manifesting generator would run their business. And we need to find out what works for you and then keep doing that. So this episode and the anti-hustle way of running your business, it's not about working less just because. It's about what allows coaches to stay ethical, present, and effective long term. And so my hope for this episode and this season is to help you figure out what that looks like for you, because we're all different. I'm a marketing coach. This is literally my job. So my consistency online is going to look very different from someone who is just starting out, who doesn't have a marketing lens and a marketing brain. Like, this is how my brain works. This is why I do what I do. So if your business only works when you are dysregulated, when you're pumping stuff out, when you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, it's not sustainable. It's going to burn you out, and it is a coping strategy. So I want to teach you how to, like I said, give yourself longer runways, how to create systems in your business, because, and a lot of coaches are really fucking resistant to systems and structure and the more like quote unquote masculine side of business. But you literally cannot run a business without structure. Sure, you can get hired, but you're not going to be able to scale. You need to have systems in place. And especially if you don't want to be doing everything all the time, you have to hand this over to a team member. And if you don't have systems to show them, then they're going to spend their time building systems for you. So you have to have these in your business. So oftentimes people get on my nerves. No, that's true too. Oftentimes people, what they get wrong about anti-hustle is they think that it's just permission to be lazy, permission to just do fuck all and hope for the best. That is absolutely not what this is about. It's not about being lazy. It's not about avoiding responsibility, this like passive income fantasy, because when you're creating passive income, there is a lot of work that goes into creating an evergreen model. If you're doing it, your team, if you're not doing it, your team's doing it. So you're going to pay them to do this work, right? So you still have to work. It doesn't mean that you're never going to be stressed. It doesn't mean that you're never going to cry. It doesn't mean that you're never going to doubt yourself. It doesn't mean that you're never going to do shit that you hate doing. It just means that you are regulated, that you're paying attention, that you're giving yourself space, that you know how to get grounded, that you're not doing things that feel out of alignment or out of integrity. There's a difference between this feels hard because I don't know this system, or this feels hard because I've never done this before, versus this feels so unethical to me. I would absolutely, obviously never advocate for the latter. And this is why I'm always checking with my clients. Does this not feel good because it's new, or does it not feel good because this feels out of integrity? Oftentimes it's just because it's new and they're frustrated, and like maybe they need to eat and they need a nap, right? And we'll break it down into smaller pieces because it's overwhelming. So we're working with you around that. So anti-hustle is about capacity. It's about your bandwidth. It's about consent and sustainability and building a business that your nervous system can actually hold, and that you can hold this business, and how to get regulated at each new level, how to stay grounded and regulated at each new benchmark that you're hitting. So this isn't about opting out of effort. It's not about not working. It's about opting out of self-abandonment. Oof. Opting out of that hustle, corporate culture mentality. That's what we're doing here. Want to break free from the hustle and grind and build a successful business? I've helped thousands of clients and students leave their 9-to-5 jobs, travel the world, land their first clients, close 5-figure sales in the DMs, and grow their businesses to 6 and 7 figures. Want to know more? Visit antihustlebiz.com and transform your life and business the anti-hustle way. Okay, back to the show. Hustle business models, obviously they're not going to call it that. But oftentimes, business coaches are just replicating what they've learned from their business coaches or things that they've seen online, right? And they are replicating this harm. And so what I've seen is that so many coaches are overworked, they're underpaid because they're not charging enough, or they're underpaid because they have not implemented a money management system where they're paying themselves first. They're overcommitted, they're overinvested in things. They are resenting their clients because they're over delivering, they're not getting compensated. They are pushing urgency because they're scared they need to pay their bills, so they don't have systems in place for reoccurring revenue is going to win every time. So this is why we do extended payment plans. This is why we have different programs that are running after one another. Give yourself a little bit of a break in between your launches, obviously, but this is why having stacked payment plans is going to change everything in your business. And then coaches who are teaching what they're not living, who are, for example, telling you, oh, ease and flow and, you can work from the bathtub, but then behind the scenes, they're freaking out and they're not living what they're teaching, or they're doing the bath, but then, like I said, they're having their team hustle. It's not in integrity. And so hustle requires constant override of your body, of your values, of your discernment, of your bandwidth. You're crossing your boundaries. So I am here to teach you that there is a different way to run your business, and the anti-hustle way is literally the only sustainable way for you to run a business. Now, I've heard lots of coaches say the whole anti-hustle thing is just about not doing any work. They're not talking with knowledge or experience around how I personally run a business and how I teach this. And it is a common belief that it swung from one end of the pendulum, which is hustle, hustle, go. And then in their mind, it's the opposite, which means don't do anything, lay in a hammock and just hope for the best. Obviously, that's not how you're going to run your fucking business if you want to make any money. And so we're doing it different. I want to teach you how to do this differently, because burnt out coaches, they can't hold clean containers. They can't hold that space for their community. That urgency leaks into sales calls. It leaks into sessions because they need to make rent. So then they're selling things to people that they don't actually need. They are starting to do more unethical sales practices to close the sale because they need to make money, because they've put so much pressure on themselves to either make the money or to maintain the level of income that they have been bringing in a really unstable economy, in a really unstable time, instead of pulling back on investments, instead of changing, where their money's going. So ethics get really fuzzy when survival mode is running the show. And that's going to come and bite you in the ass. And so if you want to have an impact, if you want to change lives, a dysregulated coach can't create regulated change. They can't have regulated sessions because it's fake. You're not living what you're talking about. So the invitation here is to look at, where are you out of alignment? Do you need to stop talking about a certain part of your business until you are in alignment with what you're saying? What needs to change here? Sustainability is an ethical obligation. It's not a personal preference. This is something that needs to take precedence in your business and how you're running your business and how you're showing up. So that sustainability piece, like as nice as baths are, as nice as spa days are, right? Like that's not real sustainability. That's not real grounding. They're just bubble baths, right? Like they're nice, but to be regulated yourself, there's more work that has to go into your own mental health. So sustainability is being able to show up present. It's being able to say no and set boundaries, being able to make clear decisions, and being able to hold clients without resentment, showing up flat and clean without your shit stepping into the space that you've created. And so if your business requires you to override your health and your boundaries or your integrity, that is an ethical issue. That's not a mindset issue. And how do you get back into integrity around this? So we know that having boundaries, creating space so that you have more capacity, resting, taking care of yourself, that it improves your clarity and how you're showing up on calls with clients. That clarity improves your coaching, right? Like you're a clean vessel, as they say, as the woo say. Because you're grounded, because you have been able to put your stuff aside and show up flat, which is a very coachy term. You're just there, right? You're present, you're curious, but you're not bringing your own stuff into the session. You're checking your biases, you're checking your opinions about what your client is coming to you with. And boundaries build trust. So many of us are afraid to set boundaries with clients, to have boundaries around our time or how we are billing our clients or the money piece, and that it builds trust. It creates safety. And then capacity allows depth. When you are up to your neck in worries and panic, you can only go so deep because you're overloaded. Your system is just overloaded. But when you allow yourself to have space, when you go for a walk and you don't bring your phone with you, like you're not on social media all the time, you're creating space or maybe doing art or whatever you do to get away from work, to just let your brain rest, that opens up so much. It lets new ideas drop in. It lets creativity drop in. You're a better coach because of it. When coaches slow down on purpose, they listen better. They stop over functioning. They stop performing their expertise. If you're a newer coach, this is especially important. A lot of new coaches feel like they're performing coaching instead of just being a coach. And they let their clients do their own work. They don't feel like they have to step in. They don't feel like they have to do the work for their clients. They allow their clients to show up in their own time, which is magical. And it takes so much pressure off of you. So that less urgency creates better results for you and your clients. So let's talk about what anti-hustle coaching, like what an anti-hustle coaching business actually looks like. So technical wise, it's fewer and clearer offers. It's about going deeper instead of wider. So like not spreading yourself out. It's about building relationships, creating deeper relationships in the spaces where you are showing up in. So this is why I recommend any of my clients that I'm working with, let's just focus on one social media platform for the next 90 days so that we can figure out your consistency. We can start to track metrics. We can see how things are working for you, how you're showing up. It creates predictable rhythms instead of just like constant pushing go. Again, we want to create more predictability in your business because flying by the seat of your pants, yes, it can work. I know lots of coaches who've made lots of money, but you're constantly on. And then if you're not launching something, there's no money coming in. This is a problem. This is not a sustainable business model. Also, pricing that supports regulation. So making sure that you are behind your prices, that you feel good about them, you can hold them, you don't cower on sales calls when it's time to tell them how much it costs. You are fully behind the pricing and what you offer and the transformation that you are providing your clients. And that your visibility invites people instead of pressuring people. This is huge, especially right now. We don't need any more pressure. So an anti-hustle business model is intentional design. It is a very intentional process. It's not avoidance. It's not being lazy. It's not doing things. It's being much more intentional about how you're running your business. Do you have the basic business foundations? Do you have your core offer? Do your programs lead into one another? Do you have an ascension business model where you're not just like letting people drop off? Like if they want to continue working with you, here's how we continue working together. This is how you also build trust. This program's over. Here's how, if you want to continue, you can step into this next program. So this is why season 7 is focused on coach training, ethics, professional business building, because this is all tied together. How you coach, how you show up, your confidence is going to show up in how you show up in your business, how you're selling, how you're pricing your offers. It's all together. So what is coming up for this season? So how to show up and hold and name coaching containers, and not name, but just like how to hold the space for the clients and how to create that for your clients, how to charge ethically, how to show up without burning out, how to build trust without instead of chasing attention. So we have lots of great topics that are coming over the next couple of months. So if this was helpful, please come and share your thoughts with me in my Facebook group. I will put the link in the show notes. Also, if you have not already grabbed the Anti-Hustle Business Checklist, this is a very comprehensive checklist that will tell you exactly what you need, what is a must, what is a nice to have, what's an eventually, yes, you should have this for your business, because so many coaches put the cart before the horse and they're over investing in things that they don't actually need for where they are in their business. So if you are just starting out, or if you have been coaching for a little bit and you don't feel like you have all of the pieces in place yet, if you're wondering, oh, should I have this for where I am? Go grab this checklist. The link is in the show notes. And then come check me out in my Facebook group, Anti-Hustle Business Coaching for Coaches and Service Providers. Thank you for being here. And I'm so excited to dive into this next season with you. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Anti-Hustle Business Podcast. I hope you found inspiration in the message and that you got some actionable next steps that you can implement right away in your business to start seeing results and moving the needle. Remember, you don't have to sacrifice your well-being or your mental health to achieve success. So prioritize your pleasure, play, and rest while you build your business around your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps me reach more entrepreneurs like you who want to do business in a completely new way. For more resources and to connect with my community, please visit my website at antihustlebiz.com and follow me on Instagram at @theshannonwhaley. Until next time, keep taking those strategic, anti-hustle steps toward building the business and life that you love. Take care.